Good morning, my magnificent ones. Welcome to Tea with Sue. This is episode 52. Can you believe we've done this for a whole year now? I'm so excited and I feel so blessed that I've been able to meet with you every week. I think there's even a bonus one kicking around in there somewhere, but I'm not even going to count the bonus one. Normally, when something comes to an end, I'd be a little bit sad because it was coming to an end. However, because I'm going to continue on with Tea with Sue in 2022, I'm excited about that. Do I know what we're going to talk about yet? Well, not exactly, because it hasn't happened yet. So I'll know from week to week, but I have a plan. I'm working on a plan to make it even bigger and better next year with some guest speakers and so on. So I'm looking forward to that. If you haven't joined me on Tea with Sue before, let me welcome you for the first time and let you know that you can always find the other 51 episodes on my app, The Magnificence Mentor, which is a free download from Google Play or the iTunes store, you know that store, Apple. Anyway, and I'm also on YouTube, so you can check out my YouTube channel, and it's there. All the other episodes are there as well. Today, so here we are, December the 31st, the last day of 2021. It's been quite a year, hasn't it? Oh my goodness, we're still in this topsy-turvy world that is creating challenges both inside us and outside of us. And you may have found this last year that your equilibrium has not been quite there. It's a little bit like a teeter-totter that, now for those of you too young to remember teeter-totters, you go way up and then you go way down. And so it may be like that for some of you still as we approach the end of the year. Well, of course, the dawning of the new year brings this hope that the next year will be better, especially if this year has been not so stellar in a lot of ways. Now, I find this time of year really great for reflection. And because of that, I like to spend a fair bit of my time alone because I want to think back. So what happened over this last year? What did I like? What were the blessings? What was I grateful for? And also, where did I fall short of where I wanted to be? Now, probably those of you who have been following me for a while know that I'm a growth junkie, right? Growth to me, personal growth and professional growth, is as important as breathing to me. So I'm always focusing in one way or another on how can I grow myself into more of who I really am. And how can I let go of certain things that have been blocking me from moving as far as I want to go? So it's time for reflection. And of course, out of that, I like to take a look at, well, where do I want to go for the new year? What is it that I want to add? What do I intend to do? So, of course, everybody's very familiar with New Year's resolutions. And of course, after we've spent the last 10 days or so just gorging on the delicious array of foods that are around, everything from stuffed turkey to ham to maybe prime rib, you name it. I mean, every food source, it doesn't matter what culture you come from. If you're celebrating, there's usually food involved, and there's usually a tremendous amount of it. So, and of course, I don't know about your household, but my household tends to be somewhat inundated with sweets as well. And cookies and pie and cake. And well, so often the New Year's resolution is, I'm going to get on that treadmill, or I'm going to go on a diet, and all of these kinds of reining ourselves back in, because we feel as if maybe we've lost control. And every year I think about that. However, for the past several years, because I've recognized that most of the New Year's resolutions are short-lived. Maybe that month of January, you're on that treadmill 3 times a week and you're huffing and puffing and getting where you think you want to go. And then by February, you lose a little interest. Well, I'm kind of busy, so I'll get to it tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Same thing with the diet. We out come the salad greens, and probably the lettuce gets really depleted in January because everybody, oh, well, I need fresh greens, and we get all excited about cutting the calories and cutting the calories and cutting the calories, to the point where our bodies are so deprived and they're going, wait a minute, you gave me all this food just a short while ago and now we're starving? What is that all about? So it can cause a great upheaval to our bodies, and our bodies protest at that point because we go from this one extreme to the other. So the resolutions tend to be short-lived. So what I've proposed for a while now is not a resolution, but a revolution. And maybe it's a revolution of thinking. How can I change my mind so I have a different mindset, so that wherever my set point has been at this time, I'm going to move it to a different level. So instead of thinking, for example, that, oh, I must exert just tremendous control over my body because I have too much weight, or I'm not fit, or I'm not healthy, or blah, 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 all of that. Maybe it's, what is it that I can do over this next year to nourish my body in a better way? Are there other foods that I could be consuming that would serve me better? Are there other activities that I enjoy, not that I hate, but that I enjoy, that would add to my sense of well-being? Like, what is it? So it's really a revolution in our thinking patterns, because let's face it, habits get started because we do one thing and then we repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Whether that's what you consider to be good or not, that's how a habit gets formed. Well, our habits of thought are very much in the same vein, that we get into this rut of thinking, oh, it's always going to be this way. Well, I can't possibly do that because this is the way I've always done it. Well, then we tend to get narrow and more narrow and more narrow, to the point where pretty soon the blinders are on and we can't see outside of what we believe that we know. Well, this is all I know, so this is all I'm going to do or be or whatever. So what I'm proposing as my revolution, this is my revolution for me for 2021. No, not 2021, 2022, is to set the intention of expansion. My intention is to expand. So how am I going to expand? What will that look like? Well, this past week, I read just an amazing book by an author that I really admire and respect, by the name of Gay Hendricks. Gay Hendricks is a psychologist by profession, and he has pretty much revolutionized the idea of psychology and how we can grow and expand in our own right as individuals. So one of his books is called The Big Leap. And in this book, he's talking about the idea of when we want to move forward in life, sometimes because we're so comfortable where we are, that if we expand way more than what we are used to, then things will happen that will cause things to happen that will bring us right back to our comfort zone, whether we like our comfort zone or not. And one of the examples he gives in the area of abundance, if you've only been used to making this amount of money a year and then you win the lottery, well, it can parachute you so far out of your, not really parachute, rocket you so far out of your comfort zone that you look for ways of bringing you back to where you're comfortable, which is why statistically lottery winners often end up worse off than before, because when they win this big pool of money, they're not equipped to deal with it emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So they go, oh, that's way more money in my bank account than I'm used to. So I'll just spend it and get rid of it, or I'll give it away, or I'll make bad investments, or anyway, and they end up a year, maybe 2 years later, and it's all gone. And so anyway, he talks about this threshold that we have and how he calls it the upper limit problem. Well, he has some antidotes in this book, and one of the best antidotes. So I really encourage you to read the book, because I found it hugely helpful for me, and I identified and found myself in many, many pages of this book. So, and when I get into a book that I feel is really helpful for me, I want to share the title, because I want everybody to get the benefit from it. So if it resonates with you, it's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. That's Gay is his first name, and then Hendricks, Hendricks. So you can find it on Amazon and other places, I'm sure. The antidote that he gave in looking at our lives and wanting to expand into more of who we really are, the magnificence that I talk about often, was a mantra that he recommended that you learn and say. So I wrote it down. In fact, I wrote it 3 different times, and I've cut it out, and I have one on my mirror and one beside my bed, and I have another one here in front of the computer to remind me of this. So here's the mantra. It goes, I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire others to do the same. So let me read it again. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire others to do the same. So here's what I like about this mantra, and I will put it in the below the feed so that you can read it out again, so that it's there for you. What I love about this mantra is it's not limiting in any way, because it's your choice how you expand in abundance, how you expand in your life with success, how you bring more love into your life, that expansion. It's entirely up to you and dependent on your own circumstances and where you're coming from. So let's talk about expansion for a minute here. The opposite of expansion, of course, is contraction. So contraction is the time that we do something or something happens to make us smaller, to shrink in some way. Usually from a personal growth perspective, contraction comes about because fear has been triggered, some kind of fear, whether it's worry, whether it's doubt. Anger is part of fear, so it can happen that way, whether it's jealousy, whether it's envy, whether it's greed. Anything to keep us fear-bound is a contraction of our energy. And when we contract, our light dims. Well, you are, and I am, each of us, these brilliant, shining lights of stardust that is so incredible. And when we let our light shine, it spills over into other people's light and sometimes ignites their light even more. And to me, that's the joy in living, is to be able to shine my light so that others can shine theirs as well. It's meant to inspire and encourage them to do the same. But contraction dims the light and dims the light and dims the light. And of course, as the light dims, darkness creeps in. Well, I don't find that a particularly fun place to be. Not that the dark doesn't have its benefits. I think, as I mentioned last week, seeds germinate in the dark and they grow best in the dark. As human beings, we start out as a little sperm and a little egg, and joined together, we start growing and flourishing in the dark in our mother's wombs. So that kind of dark serves a huge purpose, and the darkness at this time of year, because of low light levels and just wherever we are in the world, serves to give us some time to go inward where it's dark and fertile. So that's a different kind of dark than the darkness that happens as a result of fear. And there's plenty of fear in our world right now. And if COVID has challenged us in any way, one of the ways is to face this fear and say, is this valid? Is this really true? Do I need to feel this fear in this way? Or is it not relevant to me? Is it just a falsity? Is it just an illusion? And that's not what the world is about. There's more to that, more to the world and more to me and more to everybody else I know than that darkness or that fear. So that's the contraction part. Expansion, on the other hand, is love-based. It's based in that heart-centered part of us that really does rule us if we allow it to. If we allow our hearts to invite us to do certain things or say certain things or be certain things, and we listen to that heart, that intuitive knowing, that bodily sense of what works for us, then we expand, we open up like flowers do, and it becomes joyous rather than fearful. It becomes peaceful rather than chaotic. There's just so many blessings that come from that expansion if we allow it. Now, is it going to be uncomfortable? Yes, of course, it is. New shoes are, even those shoes that fit beautifully, are a little uncomfortable until we get used to them. So what new shoes do you want to try on for the new year? Do you want the shoes walking you in a path that serves, or a path that's kind of like the old well-worn path, like old slippers that should have been thrown out 2 years ago? That, oh, well, I know they don't fit that well anymore, and they don't give me any support, and they're kind of falling apart, but they're comfortable. And okay, confess now, how many of you have a t-shirt in the closet that's ripped and torn and all stained and spotty, and you hang on to it, but it's so comfortable, you tell me? Yeah, well, okay, fine. But maybe hanging on to that old ratty t-shirt means there's no room for anything new. There's no room for that bright, sparkly new t-shirt that you spotted online or in the store that you said, man, it would sure be nice to have that t-shirt. Well, yeah, but I guess my old ratty one will be okay. Well, I don't want okay. I don't want to just settle for okay. I don't want to stay in that rut. And of course, you know that a rut is a grave with the ends kicked out. Well, I'm not ready for a rut. And even though I've spent plenty of time in ruts over my life, and from time to time I climb back into a rut, I know the danger for me of staying there. It's not a happy place, and it's not where I want to be. So at this time, I want to challenge you to, as you think about embracing your magnificence more and more, I want to challenge you to look at expansion and say, where would I like to expand to over the next few days, over the next months, over the next year? Doesn't mean that you have to have it all at once, but the intention is such a crucial part of this, because when we establish our mindset, in our minds, we have a direction in mind. And no, let me rephrase that. It's not so much a direction, it's a destination. We have a destination in mind, whether it's the destination of, this is the amount of money I want to earn in or make or have in 2022. That might be one destination. This is the amount of love. Maybe you would love to have a partner in your life in 2022, and you live alone right now. So there's a destination, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Setting that intention that that's important to me, that's what I'm working towards, that's what I would like to manifest or bring in. Well, setting that intention and making a commitment towards that intention is how you get what you decide you want. That's how it works, because then the universe says, oh, they're really committed to this particular thing, and they've created this vision of what they want. That's one of the reasons why vision boards can be really helpful, because if you're a visual person, maybe you see that next trip in the form of palm trees or ocean or mountains or whatever, and it's right there in front of you, and you go, oh yeah, that I want that. And or maybe it's bags full of money. Oh, that I want that. Whatever it is, it sets your energies in motion, and then all the forces that conspire to help us make that happen start coalescing, start coming together. Now, we don't know exactly when it's going to happen, and often we have no idea how, but that's not our job. Our job isn't to know the hows or worry about, well, how's that going to happen and when's that going to happen and blah, blah, blah. That's not our job. Our job is to set the intention. Our job is to pick the destination and say, all right, universe, make it so. And then we do our part. We do what we know we can physically do, whether it's just reciting the mantra every day, which is far more powerful than you might believe. It just sets it in motion, and it enables us to grow into whatever it is. And then when we hit those points in time where we're roadblocked somehow, and often the roadblock is internal, and some of those old beliefs rise up in abundance, then it gives us an opportunity to decide, do I want to hang on to that old belief, or do I want to replace it with another one? So then we start questioning, is it really true, that belief that I have? So one of the things that came out, one of the revelations that came out of the big leap for me, was I realized that for most of my life, I have been holding myself back in what I know I'm capable of in life, because I didn't want to outshine anyone else that I knew and cared about. I didn't want to outshine my brothers. I didn't want to outshine my parents. I didn't want to outshine my heritage, because we came from kind of poor circumstances way back. And so my grandparents lived through the Depression, and they were poor, and they struggled a lot. And so somehow the belief structure that I inherited was, well, you're going to have to work hard to just get by, and don't bother thinking about expanding beyond a certain amount, because that isn't how life works. Life's meant to have you struggle and scratch and claw and do what's necessary to survive. And if you get a little bit extra, well, it's okay to celebrate, but don't get too hopeful that that's going to continue, because life has a way of knocking you back down again. Well, I do not believe that for a second these days, and haven't for a long time, except that program is pretty deep-seated. So every once in a while it raises its ugly little head and says, no, Sue, the way you're thinking about life, that's not really the way life works. And it's like waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Okay, something bad happened over here. Well, just wait a minute, and something else bad is going to happen. Or, oh, something really good happened. Well, now something bad is going to happen to counterbalance that. Well, is that true? Is that really true? Well, it is if you believe that at heart level. And I have for many years. I've worked on that quite a bit. It still bugs me every now and again, and I'm going, oh, I feel so ready to be done with that now, to engage with life the way I believe life is, not the way I was taught that it was. So part of the journey is to have compassion for myself, because I'm thinking, oh no, are we here again and again? But if I look at the progress that I've made, then I realize it's not as bad as it was. It's not as deep-seated as it was, that it's lighter than it was. And I can look at it differently than I ever did. So that encourages me to continue. That encourages me to focus instead on what's really real for me. I look around at the abundance that I have. I look around at the love that I have in my life. I look around at the success that I have in my life, and it's pretty special. And so, and is it really true that if my light shines as brilliantly as it can, that it will be a detriment to anyone else? Well, no. When I really focused on it, I thought, that's not true. Whenever anybody shines their light as bright as they can shine it, that encourages other people to shine their light. They catch fire from that, and they catch inspiration from that. So it's really important for us to not play small. I've played small for so many years, and I'm done with that. I don't want that anymore, because it hasn't got me what I wanted out of life. So now, here's my intention for 2022, is to expand, to play in a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger pond, and to let my light shine brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And my dream is that helps you come out of the smallness, out of the contraction that has maybe kept you bound for a long time, and say, wait a minute, there's a little petal growing right here, and there's another one starting to grow right here, and look at the light from these petals, and then there's another one, and then pretty soon you have this flowering, this ability to then just have the beauty shine right from within you. It's an inside out job. You know you can do this because you are that magnificent. Even if you don't know you can do this, I know you can do this, because I see your magnificence. I see how brilliant you can shine. So isn't it time? A dear friend of mine Diana Bose used to say, if not now, when? Well, now would be a good time to set your intentions for 2022. And let me repeat this mantra one more time so that you and I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire others to do the same. Let's make 2022 the most magnificent year ever. Until next year, have a glorious, happy new year, my magnificent friends.